The bigger question now is Hawk Tuah Girl an asset or a liability? You know, in the investment world, an asset versus a liability is what you have to basically distinguish between how to allocate your money and your funds, right? Are you investing in appreciating assets that grow over time or liabilities that basically cost you money? So, you know, I'm going to do an impression, so brace for it. You know, in Japanese culture, we made fun of the Indians yesterday. I said, anybody can get it, Jews too. In Japanese culture, they say, you have brought a great shame to the family. And so I'm wondering if this girl is an asset or a liability at this point, right? So an asset obviously increases economic value, but liability decreases, and basically it's end up expenditures. By the way, do you know there's another definition for liability in the zeitgeist and nomenclature? Can anybody give me the other definition of what a liability is?
No. Right, yeah.
A risk?
Okay, that's the financial terminology. I'm saying in the regular world.
Is there another world?
A person who causes
Mistake.
behavior, a person whose behavior causes great embarrassment. Like, you ever been seen you're drunk or you're like, yo, you a fucking liability.
Yeah.
You're like, you're staying home.
But I would still consider that a risk. Like, that person's a risk. I don't want to be responsible for them.
Risky business.
Yeah.
So asset or liability. So we're going to have a conversation right now about whether it's Hawk Tuah Girl or any girl. Like, you know, the conversations that we hear, like, what do you bring into the table? What's the famous thing? Bitch, I am the table. It's like,
Oh, God.
all right, well, then get down on all fours so I can eat some things. Right. You've heard this thing before. Here's some conversations that we're going to have about assets versus liabilities. By the way, here's a tweet. Nat, if you can help me read this.
Yes, it says women are generally a liability, not an asset, which is why you don't focus on them when you have nothing and wish to become something. Anyone who expects you to provide for them and needs you to guide/lead them is by definition a liability. A man has to establish himself first. And he's responding to Truth for Men. And that response is to advice to young men in their 20s, focus on building your business/career.
Totally agree with that.
Yes.
With focusing on,
building.
as a man, focus on building purpose over pleasure, purpose over poo-tang. But a lot of times, women can be a liability. But sometimes you men out there, I've seen you're fucking liabilities too, to yourselves.
Yes.
Here's a video from this woman, and then I want the panel weigh in on assets versus liabilities and what makes you an asset and what potentially makes most women liabilities. Go ahead.
Your wife to just be cute and that's it. Stop making your wife believe that the only thing she got to do is open up her legs and that makes everything right. It may make your feelings right for a short period of time, but a true helpmate helps out beyond physical looks. A willing, capable, and able woman is what every great man deserves. You cannot do it all. You will burn yourself out faster than the speed of light if you're trying to do it all and you don't have the type of woman that is willing, able, and capable of helping out both outside and inside of the house. Certain things, yes, a woman cannot physically do, but things that she is able to do, set the boundaries and allow her and teach her how to do things so that you can take breaks in the middle of what you're doing to provide for her. Stop enabling and crippling these women. It's nothing wrong with a woman getting outside and cutting some daggone grass here and then. It's nothing wrong with a woman helping you screw some light bulbs in here and there. It's nothing wrong with a woman handing you a hammer when you need one. It's nothing wrong with a woman helping you to change the tire, handing you the tire, or rolling you over the tire while you putting it on. Start making these women do some work around this house. Or else you gonna be really great. You gonna be burned out. I can't do it all.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I mean, she got the girl out there changing tires.
I mean, I did it before.
Okay, so I want to know from you ladies, because I don't want this to be a reflection on yourself, but feel free to say where you think you're at. But I actually want to know about most women. Do you think that most women are an asset or a liability, especially the prettier that they are? So, how many girls that you know would you classify as an asset versus a liability? What are your thoughts?
Are we talking in terms of like a relationship?
Bring into a relationship. Are they expecting a man to do pretty much everything, or women bring what? You know, essentially the question is, what's a woman bringing to the table? Like, what percentage of the bills would you want to pay in a relationship? If you're living with a guy, are you splitting the rent? You want him to pay for everything, and if he is paying for everything, What are you doing? You don't have any kids. Now, by the way, it's a big difference if you have kids. So it's like,
Right.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think that me and my friends pretty much think the same way on this topic, and we're all pretty set on like, I think a man should be a provider, but I think that a woman should be doing things. I feel like there's two sides to a relationship, and in that partnership, you both have responsibilities to keep each other like intact and bring something to that relationship. And men really should be providers, but like women should be like, I hate when women have the mindset of like their man should just be waiting on them around the house. Like, and if they want something to drink, the man should be running to the kitchen to get them. And like,
Who has that type of mindset?
Okay, my cousin and her boyfriend are like this. And like she's like snapping her fingers to get him like to running to grab her something. But they like split everything financially 50-50. So like whatever, to each their own.
Pause.
That's probably why she did that.
So
there it goes.
I don't need her name. How old are they?
He is 32 or 3. She is 25.
Okay.
Wow. That's bad.
Bossing his ass around.
He's 32.
They're both a little bummy.
They're a little what?
Bummy. Kaylee.
Bummy?
Bummy.
No.
What does bummy mean?
They're bums.
Okay.
No.
Oh, then that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now it's
That
starting to make
makes
sense.
then.
He's 32. She's 25. They split everything 50-50? Okay.
Wow.
She makes more money than him too.
Wow.
Okay,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like that's the issue. Like
Yeah, that's the issue
Yeah,
there.
that's why
What's
she
the
don't
issue?
respect
I just
him.
feel like if she's not only the breadwinner and like he's not feeling like he needs to elevate to her level or go
Or pass
surpass
it.
that, like I would be like, listen, like you're my assistant. Like, I'm gonna feel like I'm daddy, like I'm the man, and like it would just make me lose interest. It would make me not want to be with that person. Maybe some little resentment. Like I think definitely you should be in relationships where you elevate each other and be on the same level. But like by like the book, like it's nicer to have like for me as a woman, have a man be above me and make me soft. I don't want to be above you. Like
Yeah.
I think I do good, but like I could do better. Please don't be below me.
So
like,
you always talk about the ick.
Yeah.
big time.
Talk about
That's
the
a big
financial
ick, yeah.
ick. What's the financial ick if you're above him financially or even ambition wise? You get the ick?
Ambition and financial for sure. I just
Yeah.
feel like you should definitely like at least be on my level or like make me want to do better because then I just like complacency. I don't know. It's just like comfort.
I mean, this is hypergamy 101 right now, but it's you get a ick when a guy's just bumming around. You call him bummy?
It feels
Yeah.
bummy for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, like I would want like there are things that I like enjoy doing that I would like doing to like make like when I have a man in the future, a husband, whatever, like that I would like to make his life easier by doing. And just like there's things that you should know to do
Yeah.
at home and even like outside of the house too. Like I don't have a problem helping with anything. And there's things that like I would never want my partner to have to like ask me like, can you please do the laundry or something? Like I feel like that's just embarrassing.
Yeah.
Especially if they are providing for you and taking care of everything. Then like why wouldn't you just as a woman go above
So
and
walk me through the
beyond?
mindset of a girl. So like I'm just having this image of your cousin, whatever, just this whole thing. And he goes and gets her some shit, the water or drink or whatever.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
That is the most disrespect. Like, by the way, I wouldn't do that to a girl that I'm dating.
No.
But if I did, it'd be a joke. Okay, and I haven't made a girl pay for anything in fucking 15 fucking years.
So I'm gonna say.
And I wouldn't treat a
something.
girl like, so why would a girl, so when a girl is splitting the bill, I mean, I'm talking about splitting the bills. That is just like, there's probably something in their like membrane. I was like, oh, this motherfucker can't provide.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm taking care of him.
She's in charge.
Yeah.
Wow. What are you going to say?
He's a placeholder.
He's a placeholder.
No, they're married.
He's a
Oh.
placeholder.
Yeah,
I don't care. I don't care how
What does that mean,
married
a
they are.
placeholder?
I don't care what they have. He's a placeholder.
What does that mean?
The second someone shows up and has a little bit more than he does and she's comfortable, she's gone.
Wow.
I
He's a
think
placeholder all day.
in most case scenarios, yes. But like if you came from like the area that I came from and like if you just knew the mentality of these like people, like especially these two, like they ain't going nowhere and they're perfect for each other
you'd
because
be
they're
surprised.
they are both very like victim mentality of like why me sad
Is she
story.
attractive?
No.
Yeah.
Oh.
So that's
yeah.
what I'm saying. She's
Okay.
a placeholder. He's a placeholder. She settled
she's
for
not
what.
attractive.
No. That's what I'm saying. She settled for what she could get. If she was to work
Yeah.
out, like I don't know what the case is, but if she was to work out, if she was to focus a little less on having someone that'll just
filler,
give her the little bit of help or whatever, because that's what she saw. She didn't see like, oh, this man is like whatever. She saw, okay, I'll have a little bit less bills with this guy, and I get an assistant on top of it. You know what I mean? So I don't know what she looks like. I don't know whatever. But if she was to have a little bit higher of a self-esteem, worked out a little bit more, buddy would be gone
So
in a
in this
heartbeat.
relationship, who's the asset? Who's the liability? To kind of bring it back
They're
to this.
both
Are they both just
liabilities.
liabilities?
Yeah, they're both
double liability,
liabilities.
just double debt, double
Yeah,
losers?
for sure.
Double wide trailer?
Yeah.
Shit.
Me airing out
Definitely no
my
Hawk
family's
Tuah
dirty
going on
laundry.
there.
Oh, there-
Yeah.
So,
Sorry, fam.
if he actually, does he have any chance of reversing the disrespect?
Of course he does
Meaning,
with someone else.
You think he does? With someone else, not with her.
No.
No, it's done for.
It's done for.
Yeah,
She already
it's done.
has
Once you cross
that
line, once
idea.
you know you can boss a man around,
Yeah.
you're done.
Listen, Adam,
You're done. Run, man, run.
Yes, absolutely.
Once a girl
look,
knows
you
she
got
can
one.
boss a man around and she can get things out of just disrespect,
Like,
run, man,
me
run.
for
Get out
one-
there. Because once you know you're able to talk to a man at a certain level and you're able to get a response
will never,
from that,
yeah, go
they're
back.
gonna always talk to you at that level. It's vice versa as well. If men know if I text her at 2 a.m, she'll still sleep with me. They're gonna keep getting texts at 2 a.m. to be slept
Think
with.
about it. I've
It's
never
the same.
re-respected anyone in my
It's
life.
like a boundaries thing.
Like ever.
Yeah, it's like a boundaries thing. Like once you cross that, you
It's
break down
late.
those boundaries. You let them like slip
Exactly.
aside.
That's
You
why
throw
a
them out the
man
window. It's
must
done.
stomp out disrespect, bad attitudes, poor manners.
I mean, both ways.
Immediately.
Both ways.
This is
Both
called a
ways.
G-check.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, how many times, Brandon, you're about to be 30, you're going to realize, because you're coming into your own right now, but, I mean, and not that you're not capable of it, but as you become a guy who has money, access, network, everything,
Status.
you're going to get in an area where you're going to be dealing with a different caliber of women. And these women, they're hotter, they're around richer people,
they're
they're more
smarter.
entitled, and all of a sudden they're going to be like, oh, I can treat this man how I treat, I'm talking about 9s and 10s, all these types of girls.
Yeah.
They can think, and excuse me? Like,
Yeah.
okay.
You will learn
Like,
to act right.
the
real
best
quick.
thing a man can do, this is what they call frame in the red pill world. No, like when you say, once you disrespect a man and he takes it, there's no going back.
Yeah.
Oh, you need to stomp that out immediately.
Yeah,
100%.
Because you know what? It's not even so much for her, because you're going to go home that night and you're going to be like, bro, I can't believe I let that girl fucking completely disrespect me.
Yeah.
Talk to that other dude, like just
Bossy.
spend all my money, whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's the most emasculating feeling. So just, and I'd rather just be like, yeah, okay, cool, I'll never talk to you again, bye.
Yeah.
And lose a potential girl than lose my own ego and lose my own self.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Ugh.
Yeah. Adam doesn't put up with that.
Yeah, no.
You've G-checked me kindly a few times when we first started working together.
Really?
Yes, you have. But I needed it. And now we work together.
See?
Now we know how to communicate.
Because women will test you.
Important.
Yeah, of course.
Don't you think women will test
all women
you?
do? All
Men
women
test
test
men
every
and
man.
women.
Yes.
Both of us do that.
I don't know if men test women.
Yes,
like
they do.
that.
Yes, they
Matt
do.
just gave you a great
Test the
example.
waters a little
Alejandro, what are you going to say?
They do it. You guys test women.
Of
Yeah, all
course,
the
all
time.
day.
I've been to dates that they are asking things, and I'm like, I feel like I'm in a pub quiz. What is
Mm-hmm.
this?
Vetted all the time.
So you say men will test you more sexually.
Yeah, absolutely.
They'll
Oh,
test
I
the
was
waters with boundaries too. Like,
Yeah.
See
think about
far
how
they can
many
go.
women, like girls have been like dating a guy or like seeing a guy. They went out on a couple of dates and like they'll want to like hit you up at the end of their night after
Yeah.
whatever. It's like,
Or they'll
oh, okay, I wasn't good
ghost
enough
you.
to go
Or
out
they'll
with you
ghost
for the
you a few
evening.
times.
But
That's happened.
And
Okay.
wait till you respond.
We're
Like,
like,
oh, well,
all-
she still responds if I ignore her for 3 days
Yeah.
or whatever. I'm gonna keep doing that.
Like
So
I'll give you a
guys test the
story.
girls.
I'll give you a
Yeah.
story on how someone recently tested me. So I matched with this guy on Hinge, right? And I'm literally, my Hinge is just for the jokes. Like nobody ever gets my number, nothing like that.
What do you mean, just for the jokes?
Yeah, like I use it for punchlines. But anyways,
This is
so
why.
listen.
What's the
So
term that we
no,
talked
but
about the
wait.
other day? How people have dating app fatigue.
No, but I
Because
literally
people, you're just out here
posted
for the
on
jokes.
there. I'm
Okay.
very open. I'm very open. I literally say it on my profile. But obviously,
Legendary.
I am single, so every once in a while, one of them,
Right.
you know, streams through.
Takes it to the level.
Yeah. So I
We
was
got to
like,
Hawk Tuah that thing every once in a while. I know.
Nice guy. Maybe I might want to Hawk Tuah later. So I'm like, let me give him my number, you know?
Yeah.
Gets my number, texts me 1 or 2 times, then goes complete ghost for a whole month.
Oh.
And out of nowhere, texts me and is like, hey, what's up? I didn't answer.
Yeah.
Now he's on my Instagram sending me messages on this, on that. Like, why? Because you're trying to test a boundary. He's like, oh, I didn't even think it was that bad. I'm like, excuse me.
Yeah.
But I'm not doing the inconsistency.
Yeah. Communications are really
You were
easy.
consistent
So,
for a moment and then you disappeared.
We kind of deviated from the point,
Right. You're testing a boundary
Yes.
to see if
But I
want to
get back to the asset and liability thing. I want to know what makes most girls, like we just went down to White Trashville out here talking about,
You're welcome.
Shay, what do you think makes most women an asset versus a liability?
Ooh.
Being able to be, I gotta be careful what I say. You know, I'm not that smart.
Yes, you are.
I am. I is smart. I is kind.
See,
No, but
they like to play stupid. And then they just stalk at you.
You're smart.
I mean, she gotta be helpful, not just like around the house, but you gotta be helpful when a man is stressing from his business or like whatever he have going on. Like, you can't just be fine. You can't just be beautiful. Like, you need to do
Why can't you
more.
just be fine and beautiful?
You gotta, because men need women. We bring something that y'all can't bring. We have like that emotional balance. Not balance, I'm lying, because we be a wreck. But you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. Other than Hawk Tuah, what else are you bringing to the table here? is what I'm
Yeah.
asking.
I mean, the goal is
A
to
helping
bring
hand.
peace.
I
as
feel
a
like
woman.
absolutely.
I feel like
Yeah.
as a
I've
woman,
got
the goal
Literally
is to
peace.
remove the stress from the man's life, and through doing that, there's like a sense of like satisfaction as a woman. You're like, you can see your man being relieved of stress. If that's coming home to
That's
a
a
clean
win.
house, you're coming home and he's enjoying his food. Like there's a level of
Eat your food.
peace. There's a level of peace that women do bring that then they don't become a liability. They become an asset because now things are done for you. Laundry's done, food is cooked.
He can
things
focus more on
You
his
can go
business.
focus on what you have to focus on.
Yeah. I
But
think that if you're like stressing your man out at home, in addition to the stress he already has in the outside world, like
Just making
that's
it
when you
work.
Oh
would really
my
be a
God.
liability.
Yeah.
Ugh, yes.
That's
Because
the
like
ick.
they want to come home and be
Yes.
like, yeah, that would be like the man's ick. It's like,
Shut
you know,
up,
they want to
bitch.
come
Yeah.
home after a long
Nobody
day.
wants to be nice.
They want a hot meal, a clean house, and a little
Yeah.
Hawk Tuah, you know. So,
You're talking too much.
Kaylee, what makes you or girls an asset versus a liability? The hotter the girl is, I think the way that she has a little bit more wiggle room to think that she can just not have to work as much, not have to do as much. What are your thoughts?
I think but also like the man, that's also like the man allowing that, like the entitlement. Like girls will show up exactly what you mentioned earlier. Like they're either gonna come entitled or they're gonna come like humble. So like if you're allowing this stuff, they'll just like
Keep going.
keep going. They're gonna run with it.
yeah,
so
they'll take it and run.
you know, it's kind of like contingent on like your boundaries in your relationship, what you want. Like what I might see as a liability, someone might not. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point.
What do you mean
Yeah.
if someone might see as a liability, someone might not?
Like in terms of like if a man is like very comfortable with like, oh, I want my girl to like literally never work a day in her life and like, you know, just look pretty every day and like do this and do that, like that's what he wants. Like some people are actually okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you met a guy who's just obviously successful and he's like, listen, you're on my team
Traditional.
now. You work for me. You don't have to do anything.
Which
But,
is cool.
You
but
know,
like
I just need you to do kind of whatever I need you to do, whatever around the house, whatever. How willing are you to do something like that?
I think me personally, like it sounds like great. Like all through up, you're like, oh my God, I have to do nothing. Like I
Yeah.
just get to be pretty. That's so cool. But I would be personally so bored because like I would need some purpose.
hobby.
Like for my
something.
days, for my schedule, for my week, for my life. Like I'm not just like your little Barbie doll arm candy. And like I've literally dated men where like I had like a conversation like this recently where I was just like, oh, it's nice the things that we do and stuff like that, but I'm not just arm candy. So like you either step up and you like make me like a partner and like actually like let's work towards something good. And like, you know, if it were to be like a marriage situation, like, you know, that's a whole different dynamic. But like I don't want to just be like a pawn to you, you know?
Where are you from?
Personally. Me, I'm from Atlanta.
You're from Atlanta.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's good.
TLO.
Have you noticed, and you said Ohio?
Born and raised in Ohio, but I'm lived in Michigan. It was like 50-50.
You're a Midwest
Ohio,
girl.
Michigan, yeah.
You're a good South
Southern.
girl. You're from Miami, right?
Yeah, well, I'm technically from New York. I'm
From New York.
bi-coastal. I'm a
And you grew up
bi-coastal.
down here?
I was raised in Virgin Islands, but I lived
Virgin
for a while.
Islands.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you noticed girls in Miami have a little bit more, let's just say, leeway when it comes to doing stuff? Like in Atlanta or in the Midwest or even in New York, because girls work hard in New York. These girls are working. They're bringing something to the table, proverbially. Where I see a lot of girls in Miami, they're just like, I'm hot. I exist.
I think it's
Have you experienced more of that?
Yeah,
So
it's a
yeah.
cultural thing.
It's
I think it's a
definitely the
cultural
culture.
thing.
What do you
For
mean?
me, like I literally I hustled since I was 12.
Yeah.
People go to summer camp, I would literally nanny. Like I've like always had that mentality, and that's just like instilled in me.
But you have that. What about
even if I
girls down
have-
here in Miami?
So here, like girls in Miami, like I remember when I was young and I was 16, not 16. Wow, that's young. Like 20,
Wow.
like 19, something like that, coming to
40 and
Miami for
slip.
the first time.
Yeah.
Literally.
No.
Coming to Miami, and I was like, wow, this is so cool. Like you get like the free bottle service, the free dinners and stuff like that, but you're really, like a pawn in the promoter game, whatever. But these kids growing up here, I think, at least from my perspective outside looking in, is like they're like, oh, I can get whatever I want because like I look a certain way or I hang around certain people. So like that is what they're like is normal to them. And then it just like gets progressively worse because like in Miami, you're gonna run into like the most like successful, rich, like celebrity people, and it just like escalates.
Yeah.
So like that entitlement just like grows. Like I feel like unless you have a backbone or something embedded in
You
it.
hit the nail on the head. You said the
Yeah.
word entitlement. I've seen
Yeah.
so much entitlement down here, whether it's the free drinks, whether it's the club, whether it's the dinners, whether it's the boats, whether it's the parties, whether it's the mansions. By the way, it's not just exclusive to Miami. It's pretty much in any big city. Fill in a big city and fill in what, you're able to do right there.
Yeah.
And these girls get this entitlement mentality, and it usually happens in herds. Like, if a girl's a sort of a one-off, it's like, all right, she can, but she kind of like reversion to the mean. She's doing her own thing. When there's 4 girls and like, we want this.
Yeah.
We want this. It's like, it's like, what's this we want thing?
Well,
They develop this mentality, and the reality is this: they will let that go as long as the guy goes, what do you mean we want? Like, what? You're not paying for anything. So why, like, you don't really have a say in this conversation. Ultimately, they'll continue that until 2 things. Number 1, the man G-checks them, or number 2, they're no longer young and hot enough to qualify for that type of entitlement, and that will be there when they hit the wall at some point. So that's why I respect girls like you who work, but also understand to balance bringing something to the table, but also using your beauty to capitalize on finding a meaningful relationship. What were you going to say, Dina?
Well, the reason why I say the cultural aspect is a real big thing in Miami is because we all know Miami's like a third world country, right? So as far as like background wise, like everyone from Miami is like from South America or from an island or something like that. And what's crazy about it is that in those countries, they've kind of gone through like a social change to where moms aren't being moms. They're just breeding their daughters to be like, okay, this is what you have to do to get a man that's rich and whatever, and this is how you have to behave, and this is what
They're
you have
just
to
breeding
look.
a bunch of Hawk Tuahs out there.
Yeah, it's true. Like in a lot of
Interesting.
Latin countries, that's what they bring them up to think. Like, go to Colombia. You know what I'm saying? And you see the mentality. I wasn't gonna put him out there like that, okay?
Wow.
Let him Hawk Tuah the bus.
I never felt what it was like to be a hot girl in Miami or in a club in New York, whatever, until I went to Colombia. And I
it's
went
like
with
the
my
reverse,
buddies and
right?
successful guys, and we walked into the club, and all of a sudden these girls are like, "Oh my God, look, hey, what's your name?" What? Like I was like, "Well, relax, what's going on here?"
Take it to America.
You hot girls, you gotta. It's actually weird. Or if you go to like the strip club in Miami, like 11 or something like that, every girl's grabbing you because they see, all right, this guy's got something. It's just like
They even grab the girls. I'm like, oh no.
ick.
Yeah.
They
I
want their
got
money.
sexually assaulted at my show yesterday. Whatever, that's another
Anyway,
story.
that's Hawk Tuah for a different time. But here's where I want to end this conversation. There is something called Hoeflation, where in Joe Biden's America today, he's talking about shrinkflation, where you're getting less bang for your buck. Hoeflation is basically the female version of you're getting less bang for your buck, where men have to work 10 times harder to get a girl 10 times less good as mom was or as grandma was, because a lot of women, it's partially hypergamy, if you can look at this right here, women are hypergamous, but social media apps, dating apps have basically crushed the everyday man, and now they have to work twice as hard, 10 times as hard to qualify for just an average girl out there, because, you know, they say there's the K-shaped economy. You're familiar with this concept where the rich have gotten richer and the poor have gotten poorer. So the guys at the top of the dating market are getting all the
women
supply in the supply and demand microeconomic situation, and the demand for the young men out there is struggling. So, Brandon, as a man, thoughts on hypergamy, Hoeflation, and shrinkflation, what's going on in the market these days in the dating game?
Are you feeling it?
Well, real quick, I wanted to address the assets and liability thing. So I think a definite asset is, you know, when it comes to personality type, something I've been looking for is like, you know, I'm like a much more action-oriented type person, but like lack organization. So, you know, that's something I'm mindful of when I'm dating is somebody more like me or more like an offsetting strength, you know, like because if I've dated girls who are like more action oriented, like where, you know, they have boldness and everything the same way I do, but aren't as organized, and you know, that's how I am. So I think I need somebody who's organized and can like offset that part of me that I'm like lacking in. So I think that's something that's an asset. And then when it comes to dating and stuff, I definitely see what you mean, where like girls who are hotter like have that more entitled attitude, and you know, like I've like burned stuff like that to the ground, like with what you're saying, but like not tolerating that. But I see a lot of my friends like that do tolerate it, and it's like a trap, because if you do tolerate it, it's like unthinkable for you to backtrack from that. Like you guys are saying, you know, like once you let the precedent happen of like being spoken to a certain way, you can't really like get yourself out of that without nuking the situation.
Yeah.
So
Hoeflation, you're feeling it.
No.
Well, you said your friends are feeling it, meaning they'll put up with a bad attitude for what reason?
I mean, yeah, because it's like
Hawk Tuah.
That is
because it's
Shit, for that Hawk Tuah.
it's like the longer my read on people is like the longer they're in something, like it feels like
Normal.
like yeah, but they feel like they've wasted all that time if they try to get out of it, so they just like put up with stuff.
How old are these guys?
Like late 20s and like
Bro,
so
you got
many,
all the time in the
I wanna-
world.
so
late
many.
20s.
I want to
like,
piggyback.
And how old are the girls?
Same age. Like 80% of my friends have gotten married in the past 3
Who
years.
has more of an advantage, a guy in his late 20s or a girl in their late 20s?
A guy. For sure.
It's just
All day.
about to get like switch in that guy's favor.
Yep.
Because the guy who's 29 and the girl who's 29, she's like, I've been this shit my whole life. And he's like, I ain't shit. I'm just becoming this shit. Like you, like when you're 40, like if you're dating a 29-year-old girl right now and you're just coming into your own, right? We all know you have political aspirations and everything all out there. Like by the time you're 40, you're going to have more money. I know you work out. Like life's going to be better. Look at you. Look at your boy. This is you right now. The 40-year-old girl down there, like if she's just a regular old girl who's relying on her looks, dude, kick it to the curb.
See ya.
Anyway, what were you going to say?
Hawk Tuah.
Hawk Tuah. I don't know. I forgot now.
Anyway, Hawk
You
Tuah.
said you're gonna piggyback off.
Anyway,
what I
but the
said.
point is this:
Yeah, and I forget.
that a man, you'll put up with as much as you'll put up with until you get disrespected.
A lot
And then
of
at
guys let
some
it happen,
point, you're
though.
like, this is not worth it. You're becoming a complete liability to my life. And it's up to the man to be like, yeah, you're done, type of a thing. But if you don't have a backbone, they're going to keep putting up with it. And as you said before, once you disrespect the man and he doesn't G-check you, what happens?
That's
Go
it.
back. That's it.
Yeah.
Keeps happening.
Never
I remember.
re-respected
I was gonna say.
no one in my
I feel
life.
like the kind of men that are like putting up with that. It's like they have kind of like maybe a low self-worth in their head. Like they don't think that they have like looks or status or anything or whatever.
they
Like
do
they just
eye
feel
candy.
really like poor inside, and maybe that's like
Or they can
like an
just be
inner
rude.
type of something. But like I feel like the only people that really put up with disrespect like that on both sides is it's because they have like self-esteem
You're
issues.
absolutely right.
Yeah.
And this is where we'll leave it. It's because they lack the abundance mentality.
Yeah.
If you're like, oh my God, this is the only girl I'm gonna get, and it's the hottest girl I'm gonna get,
Yeah.
and I'll put up with the disrespect, and this is okay, I guess. But if you're like, this bitch,
Yeah.
like, bro, you gotta go. I gotta go find something better, like, because you have an abundance mentality.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the famous saying: when you're broke, you're desperate. When you're desperate, you're stupid. If you have no money, you're gonna, oh my God, I'll do anything for money.
Scram.
And all of a sudden you're doing stupid ass things because you have no money. But if you're like, oh my God, this is the only girl I can get, and it's the only thing I can get, it's the only thing I qualify for, it's like, I guess I'll put up with this nonsense. But once you say have more money, have more confidence, have a bigger network, have more status, then you're never gonna, and you have an abundant mentality, you're never gonna put up with that disrespect.
Yeah.
Period. Whoa. If you like that one, click right here to watch the full SOSCAST. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel.